Yeah, thank you very much, Scarlett. I hope you can hear me and see me well. Thank you, first of all, for the invitation. Before I dive in the Alliance for Integrity and the Integrity app, I want to just introduce very shortly the Alliance for Integrity for those of you who don't know us. The Alliance for Integrity is a multi-stakeholder initiative working to promote integrity in the economic system. We work together with the public sector, the private sector, and the civil society. And one of our key target groups are actually the small medium enterprise, and this is the target group we had in mind when we developed the Integrity app. There's what I am going to show right now, but before, I also want to say 2 or 3 things about how we develop and why we decided to do these digital tools. No, I have the feeling that often we see digital tools as a kind of panacea that will solve all our business integrity issues, and it's not always like that. So it's very important to take into consideration when we develop digital tools, what is the problem which we are trying to solve, and understand that very well, and also understand very well who are we leaving behind. Now, generally, for example, non-digital natives could have more struggles in dealing with digital tools, or people that don't have access to internet regularly. So this is something we always have in mind, and that's why I want to present now the Integrity app, but not as an isolated tool, but actually as a tool that is complemented by all the other trainings and the face-to-face tools the Alliance for Integrity has. So when we started to develop the Integrity app, we had this small medium enterprise in mind, and they share with us that one of the most difficult challenges was that in internet there is a lot of information, and there is free information, a lot on how to implement a compliance program, but how they could assure that this information was reliable and organized and easy to reach out. And the second was that every time there is a new regulation, they were starting kind of from zero, no? And actually don't identifying that they have in their own organizations already some examples or some tools that they could use for the compliance program. A typical example is the 4I principle for controlling, that this could, of course, be used as well for the compliance program. So that being said, I will share now my screen, and I hope it's working. So let me know. I see. Yep. Perfect. So directly to the Integrity app, and you can enter parallelly already in the website, TheIntegrityApp.com. And there you will have to choose between 6 languages. We have the Integrity app in Spanish, in Portuguese, German, English, French, and Bahasa Indonesia. It's a free tool, so you can share it with whoever you want and with your collective actions partners, and then you will see this first page. So the first thing we decided was important to do with the small and medium enterprise is enable them to analyze their own compliance system, even if it's I don't have anything. So for that, we create a self-assessment where companies can answer different questions. For example, do you have a zero policy, a tolerance policy against corruption? And here we have not only questions, but also definitions as well. What do we mean by this question? And this is for us important when we present the Integrity app, that we share with the companies that are doing it, that they can answer no to everything. No, it's only for them. Nobody else will see these. So they don't need to really, answer in not an honest way. They can really answer honestly because they are the only ones. This is for them. They are the only ones who will see it. And then at the end of this questionnaire, I will not will go through the questionnaire with you, but they will receive a result. This is between 0 and 100 points on comparing what they have with the international standards. So this is the second feature of the Integrity app. The first one, as I mentioned, is the self-assessment, but the second one, and also very important, is a comparisons of the standards. And this comes together with detail on which issues of your business integrity program you need to improve. For example, this is also very typical. This is an example company, but generally a small and medium enterprise, if they are using the Integrity app, they have a commitment already. They have some kind of implementation, but they, for example, don't have anything on measurement. So if they see this comparison between their self-assessment and the international standards, they can click in measurement if they want to improve, and then they receive a small text, and then at the end they receive links from trainings, from videos from our partners. So Scarlett, I was already thinking about we should, in the part of collective action, include your new training there, and they can go there and do and receive some knowledge on how to implement each of these steps. And this is again not something that we have, so only Alliance for Integrity products, but actually from all our partners. The only thing that we do is to organize them and update and let them up to date, and also for the small and medium enterprise to make sure that this is reliable information that they receive here. So this is this other feature that is the learning part of the Integrity app. They can go there and learn on how to improve different steps of the Integrity program. The third feature has to do with the follow-up. No, they do the self-assessment, they learn, and then they maybe implement a few steps of the compliance program. So the idea is that you can program your app or the Integrity app in your cell phone, in your web page, to send you an email every 4 months, and this is optional, and to remind you, do your self-assessment again, and then you can compare your different self-assessments. So here you will have a list of all the reports you did and compare if you improve, if maybe you stop implementing a process that you had in the past and then you decreased in comparison with the international standards. So you can do this again and again, only for you as a company to compare your standards. And a kind of extra feature that we added in the 2 years ago is this feature of the risk assessment. This is something that we receive as well as a big feedback from small and medium enterprise, that this is one of the most difficult issues to implement for them. So we tried to do a very simple tool for them to start understanding how a risk assessment works and be able to have a first heat map of the risk. So this is again just a simplified tool for small and medium enterprise to start with that and understand better the logic behind a risk assessment. So here also we listed 19 of the most common risks for companies, and then they have questions like this: is there a risk that the organization will give and offer gifts, for example, to public agents or suppliers? If you answer yes, you will receive more questions. Are there rules regarding this? These rules have, for example, a value for the gift, or if these rules at all are against, is prohibited at all in these rules. And then at the end, you will receive a risk map, and you will be able to see your own risk map, see which are the risks that you have a higher risk, and then have 2 or 3 tips of this, of how to minimize this risk in your organization. So you can see this is something very, very simple. Again, if there is compliance officers with a lot of experience on risk assessment, I know they will hate me right now for this simplification, but we are looking at the small and medium enterprise, and this is what we want to give them: a few hands-on tools on how to deal with risk assessment. So that is the 4 features of the Integrity app. You see, it's very simple and easy to use. It's a tool that is totally for free, so you can share it in your networks or use it yourself. And I want to say only 2 more things about the future. So we have already adapted the Integrity app for the public sector, learning from the experience of the private sector. Now there is a version for the public sector in Brazil and in Paraguay. And it's coming even a new version specifically in Paraguay for the education system, so for teachers. This will be also a first time and very interesting experience what we are building there. And we are preparing now a version of the Integrity app also to deal with the human rights issue. We have already the survey, so the questions for the self-assessment in place. We are now programming the version, and we hope it could be out there at the beginning of next year. So this is what is coming. I don't want to take more of the time, and I am happy to hear your questions and comments right now or at the end of the event. Thank you very much.
I actually have one question for Carolina before we move on. In terms of the extension of new topics. Is this something like the human rights? Very interesting, I think, to hear the human rights. And you also mentioned the fact that the public sector is now using this tool. How have you sort of developed that? Was that on a needs basis? How did the public sector even know about this app?
Well, that's a good question. So about the public sector, everything that we do in the Alliance for Integrity, we do it with this multi-stakeholder approach. So actually the public sector in Brazil was part of the steering committee that build up the app together with us. So they also share what they look when they look on what is a good compliance program in Brazil, for example. So we took them the feedback from them in the batch on the other hand, and so that's how they find out, and we try to share these tools also with other partners and governments in other countries. And about this introduction of new topic is in a need base. No, we see what companies and small and medium enterprise need, and based on that we develop new features or new versions of that. However, the questionnaire, this is indeed something we change. For example, if we see that now we are talking much more about business integrity and not only compliance, this is something we changed on the formula. So there is a smaller changes that we do when our work shows us that is a little bit old the way we are naming things. The Integrity App has already 6 years, so you need to every year go through the app and update also the materials and the content.
And I'll just bring it back to Carolina, because we have one question for you on the question, is this really a tool, the Integrity Pack, that can be used for all SMEs all around the world, even in countries that are maybe not sort of at the level of the sort of best practice international standards? So could you maybe give us a bit of an insight into how sort of internationally applicable the app is?
Yeah, thank you, Scarlett. And the answer is yes. So exactly that's why we choose to put in the self-assessment the higher international standards, because that doesn't mean that the company needs to have 100. No, the number, again, is only for the company itself, and they can choose where to work more on it. And what we did is also in the countries where Alliance for Integrity has a local network, for example, in Ghana or in India, you will see that in the English version of this Integrity App, there is also extra resources that related with the local regulation in India as well to have this connection. But any company from every country can use it, and we have companies using it for more than 50 different countries. So it's really big, the kind of use the app is being made right now.